Hello. So, following the idea of Reka, we got to see that one of the most important things for our PMAX to succeed is to have the correct tracking of our conversions in place, but also to have the current signal speed built in our account. So, how can we achieve that? Well, the first thing is going to be to have a really good base built on GA4. So, as you might be aware, GA4 is an event-based tracking that it's not tracking only just page view, but also tracking the actions that are valuable for your specific business. So, if we talk about an e-commerce, we can say that valuable actions for us could be the view of an item, the view of a list of items, the add to the cart, the view the cart, purchase. But for example, if we talk about a lead gen, we're going to talk about other type of actions that are not related with purchases. Like for example, they could be clicking on a specific button, generating a page view on a specific page, seeing a thank you page, or arriving that the user arrived to a specific landing page. So the most important thing is that no matter what your business is, you get to define which are the valuable actions for you, and you track them through GA4. So once you have that bill, you also need to make sure that as much information you can send through those events, more valuable is going to be the structure of your campaigns. So you can enrich your events with different type of parameters. So for example, with your purchase ID, you can send the product name, the product category, the colors, or with your lead gen events, you can try to send hashed user information data that is going to help Google to better and easily identify the different type of personas. And a key point as well is that you need to import, or it's always good to import the goals you build on GA4 to Google Ads instead of creating goals from scratch directly on Google Ads. You can have both of them in linked to the same campaign, but if you have goals that are created in Google Ads only, that information is going to be missing on GA4. So if you then want to create audiences or anything based on the information you have on GA4 and you have created that only from Google Ads, you're going to be missing that piece of information. Another important thing that Reka was talking about, once you have your tracking in place and you can say the PMAX, how it needs to be, what actions need to be taken into consideration to optimize the performance of the campaigns, is the signals and the audiences. So one key thing, I mean, Reka mentioned that you can use different type of audiences, like, past purchasers. You can use, for example, people that visited your website. We all know that how those audiences are built, but there are other type of audiences that are really interesting, that are the predictive audiences. This type of groups help us using machine learning to identify the high value users that we can have. So they are going to be looking for users that are likely to make a value action. So for example, they are likely to purchase, or they are likely to send the form, or as well, they are users that are likely to turn. So we don't want to focus on those audiences, for example. So as I was saying, they leverage here for machine learning, and it's a capability that allows us to predict customer behavior. Besides adding all of the audiences that we currently have and we know that are part of our website, we should as well be adding these type of audiences as well as signals in Google Ads. Another very important piece of having a correct setup of our PMAX campaign in this current landscape is having the enhanced conversions up on your Google account. And why is that? Because with the restrictions that the data privacy bring into our advertising world, we need to be able to still identify as much users as we can, even though we know that a lot of them are removing, they're just not picking the tracking parameters in our page. So if we have enhanced conversions, we are going to have better attribution and, of course, better performance, because we are not using a pixel based strategy, but we are using a holistic strategy, being able to identify those users even though they are opt-outing from our website. So what enhanced conversion brings to the conversation? We're going to be hashing first party data, so we are aligned with data privacy laws. Then secondly, it improves the match rates for our conversions. So as I was saying before, we are able to identify and match more users. And then we can implement it with Google Tag Manager, or as well, we can do an automatic implementation through API or through directly the Google Tag. So I don't want to get too technical because, of course, the implementation might be different and harder depending on the way we choose. But the first thing you need to do to make sure if you have it on or not and take an action plan is go to your Google Ads account. In the gold sections under the conversion tab, you're going to find the setting tab, and you're going to have two options. The first one is enhanced conversions for leads, and then the normal enhanced conversions. In both of them, you need to make sure you have this on. So as you see in the image, you can just click on the turn on enhanced conversions. And then you're going to see that you have an option in which you can choose the method that you want to use. You're going to see two methods. You're going to see the Google Tag or Google Tag Manager. I would recommend you to use Google Tag because it's an automated approach that Google provides, and you don't have to really do nothing extra after setting up this. So I would recommend you to pick Google Tag. And then on Google Tag Manager, if you can go to the next slide, on the conversion that you set up on Google Tag Manager. So in this case, this could be the action, the event you are sending to GA4, or if you have set the conversion directly to be sent to Google Ads, it could be exactly the same. You need to include, you need to tick the section that says include user provided data from your website. And you're gonna see that you have a variable that comes automated on Google Tag Manager, which says user provided data, and you just pick that, and that is basically it. So it's quite easy. It might have another complications depending on how your website is built. So you might have some complications if your website have different requirements. But if you have any questions about your specific case, you can always look for a specialist to help you with that. And then the last part, but not least, is the offline conversions imports. So not all of our businesses end up the journey digitally. So there are some cases, mainly for lead generation companies, in which the action that ends on our digital environment is the inquiry, but the conversation of that comes after, and we need to upload that information that it's hosted probably on CRMs, but we need to upload that and to connect that with our Google accounts, because that helps the Google algorithm and the PMAX algorithm to optimize the campaigns, to understand which of the clicks that the campaign received finally ended on a real action outside of the digital environment. So this is like closing the total loop. So the most important thing is like you need to capture this data, for example, phone sales or any qualified leads that you can have on CRMs. There are some platforms that allows a direct connection with Google Ads, like for example Zapier or HubSpot. But if you don't have that automated, or if you cannot have this type of connection because you're using a different platform, or because you just have an Excel sheet in which you record the information, Google Ads provides different type of templates in which you can upload that data. So as we were saying, we can do it automatically or importing it manually. And the last thing about this is that this is a key to really improve the full funnel measurement. And just to sum up a little bit all the things that I have talked, is that you need to track the value and not only the clicks. So you need to focus on building quality signals by creating good audiences and using predictive audiences on your signals, and as well align the tracking with the real business outcomes. So if you want scaling success, you need to have these three areas together. You need to work these three areas together: data, attribution, and action.